Russia shipped on average 3.66 million barrels of crude oil per day in the 4 weeks up to May 5th, according to figures compiled by Bloomberg. That's the highest level since the beginning of 2022. Almost all of the oil is being shipped to China and India, with smaller amounts heading to Egypt and Turkey. Before its February 2022 invasion of Ukraine, Russia shipped 1.5 million barrels of oil per day to the European Union. But Western countries have reduced that trade to almost zero. Only Bulgaria is importing Russian crude oil.
The EU imports of crude oil from Russia are completely replaced by Egyptian and Indian imports of crude oil. So Russia has found other buyers, and the EU in turn has looked for other suppliers and has also found it.
Despite finding new buyers, Russia's oil revenues have shrunk by 2/3. Western sanctions and a price cap of $60 per barrel on Russian oil are squeezing profits. The Kremlin said last week that export proceeds fell 67% last month to $6.4 billion.
Russia is suffering. You can look at the data. Yes, they have found new buyers of oil, but at a lower price. Urals is trading at a discount compared to other sorts of oil. The new buyers are not as attractive as the old ones.
The new buyers are also much further away, resulting in average shipping times of 16 to 18 days, up from 4 to 6 days for the pre-war shipments to Russia's European neighbours, according to Reuters.
And of course, that is negative for the cost. So prices in general go up. And it's also bad for the environment if you think about CO2 emissions. And part of the gamble of Vladimir Putin was that the Western countries would not be willing to bear those costs. But now that we see, I think more than a year, that the Western countries are willing to accept some of the cost.
The West is trying to persuade allies like India to import less Russian oil.
But of course, those countries are sovereign countries and they have their own interest. But in a way, you want to make the second best option for Russia even worse. But that will have limited success, as history tells us and as the economic analysis tells us today.
Analysts say some Russian oil is likely still entering European markets. Crude oil is difficult to track as it can be easily blended with other shipments in transit countries or at sea. The complexity of shipping companies and vessel flagging adds to the difficulty of enforcing sanctions. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.